Factsverse presents the disturbing truth about Thanksgiving that you never learned in history class. Most people love Thanksgiving. It's a time for families to get together and celebrate the holiday together. Most people will cook a turkey, sweet potatoes, green beans, plenty of delicious pies, especially that pumpkin pie. Good stuff. Well, the reason that we're told that we celebrate Thanksgiving is that we are commemorating the meal between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. Well, over the years, the holiday has gone from a celebration of this union to a celebration of watching football with the family and having fun. Every kid in school learns about the first Thanksgiving in class. We've been taught that in 1621, the first Thanksgiving took place. The Pilgrim Fathers gathered together to celebrate the first harvest in the newly settled land of Plymouth Country, which is now known as Massachusetts. The settlers decided to invite the Native Americans to the celebration to thank them for their help. They also wanted to make the Native Americans feel welcome. On the first Thanksgiving, they sat down for turkey, sweet potatoes, and pie. It sounds like a delightful story, right? But unfortunately, it's not all true. There are some disturbing truths about Thanksgiving that you probably did not learn in class. Squanto is a famous Tisquantum, and he had a lot to do with that first Thanksgiving. In school, we were taught that this Native American spoke English, which helped him to communicate with the English newcomers and translate to his fellow Native Americans. While that part of the story is true, it's not the whole story. Squanto did not spend his entire life in Plymouth Colony with his friends and family members. He also did not translate during the first Thanksgiving feast out of kindness of his heart. The reason Squanto was the only Native American who spoke English was that he had been enslaved and forced into servitude in England. When the English headed to his native land in 1619, they brought him along. They figured that he could help them speak to the people in his native tongue. Now, if you thought that Squanto was just a highly intelligent Native American man who helped open the lines of communication between the Pilgrims and the other Native Americans, you were taught wrong. The story of the first Thanksgiving says that it was all peace and happiness during the first Thanksgiving feast. That's also not accurate. The Pilgrims didn't send out a happy invitation to the Native Americans asking them to join them for a meal. Massasoit, the Native American chief of the Wampanoag people, he was invited to the first Thanksgiving. He arrived at the feast with 90 of his men. Because the Native Americans were armed warriors, the Pilgrims decided that they had to do something as a show of force. So they fired their guns in the air to let the Native Americans know that they could fight if necessary. Not exactly the happy start to a dinner that we were taught in elementary school. Putting up a sign of force before dinner doesn't make for the most relaxing of meals. Now, our Thanksgiving menu today is said to be based on what the Pilgrims had and the Native Americans ate on that first Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, that part of the story is not true either. While there were wild turkeys in the area, they were not served during that meal. The Wampanoag people showed up with 5 deer to be cooked. So that means that we shouldn't be eating roasted turkey on Thanksgiving, not if we want it to be a legitimate, authentic Thanksgiving meal. We should be eating venison. Also, sweet potatoes were not grown in the region at that time, so they couldn't have been served during the first meal either. And the settlers did not have flour or butter when they arrived in Plymouth Colony, so no dinner rolls. Without sugar or butter, we also couldn't have had those baked pies that were said to have been served at the first Thanksgiving dinner. No pumpkin pie? I mean, that's just not Thanksgiving anymore, is it? In school, we learned that the first Thanksgiving took place in 1621 so that the Pilgrims could thank the Native Americans for their hospitality and kindness. And it is a beautiful story, but it's not a true story. Many historians believe the first Thanksgiving took place many years later. And they also think the reason for the first meal was to mark the settlers' victory over the Pequot Native Americans. Now, if that's the case, the whole point of the meal was not to give thanks to one another. It was not about peace and harmony. It was about victory over the Native Americans. Today, we celebrate Thanksgiving on the third Thursday in November. That's not the actual day the first Thanksgiving took place. Thanksgiving wasn't even an official holiday until 1863, 200-plus years later when Abraham Lincoln declared the first official Thanksgiving Day. It's believed that he chose this day to celebrate the Unionist Civil War victories. So how does that have anything to do with the first meal shared by the Native Americans and the Pilgrims supposedly in 1621? Well, unfortunately, nobody really knows the truth of that first Thanksgiving. The one thing we do know is that the history books got it wrong. When the Native Americans and the Pilgrims got together, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. So what are we celebrating then? Well, over the years, the holiday has become all about commercialism. Not quite to the level of Halloween or Christmas, but still. I mean, why else would the stores open their doors on Thanksgiving night to kick off Black Friday shopping? Am I right? Subscribe for more.
DJ WJ Black Void sure does love to play with his 12 inches. Sure does love to play with his 12 inches. 12 inches.
dance. There's tattoos on my neck. I just FaceTime Kanye. I told him I'm his biggest fan, yeah. Got all these things in my DM. Hold up, I got a kid. Oh, I can sing so well. Wonder if I can say the N-word. When can I really say the N-word? What up, my winner? What up, my winner? Big ups, my winner. We are my winner. You stupid little winner. Forget y'all winners. Cause I'm that winner, 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 winner. I'm that winner. I woke up in Chris Brown's body. So hot it turned into Freaky Friday. But we got no choice but to turn this sideways. I can't believe that it's Freaky Friday. It's Freaky Friday. I'm in Chris Brown's body. Love is Ferrari. I'm like a skin black. It's Freaky Friday. I'm in Chris Brown's body. Love is Ferrari. I'm like a skin black.
Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down. Let's get down to business. Down to business. Let's get down to business. I'm all about to let my heart beat. Friends keep telling me to leave it. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business, yeah. Back and forth with the bullshit. You know I said it before, I don't mean it. It's been a while since I had your attention, so it might hurt to hit it. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.